Hey everybody, today's interview, Gin and Spin, is going to be with one of my favorite fiber besties, and you see the fiber floating around in here. Tori Tecken, owner of Feathertail Fiber Arts, and she is amazing. If you're in our Facebook group, you probably recognize her from, I tag her all the time. Anytime somebody has a like fleece education question, I don't know the answer to it, so I tag Tori because she's like a walking encyclopedia. Like she's literally, I text her all the time, and I'm like, ask her weird sheep questions. So I had to get her on here to interview her to share her fleece knowledge with you. And she also, like I said, you may recognize this little post of this. She is the one that sent me the magical Corridel sample that I had on Instagram not too long ago. So, anyhow, without further ado, because it's kind of a long interview, Tori and I rambled for like 40 minutes, but it was really good rambling. There's lots of solid information. So, please continue watching and comment below and like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff because it helps us get this out there and supports not just my business but her business, and you know, she's doing some really awesome things, so we should all definitely get on board with that. So anyhow, please enjoy, and here's Tori. I am the queen of butchering last names.
Me too.
So Tori is my friend that I feel like many of you have heard me reference a million times, and thankfully she has better lighting than I do. She is the owner and fiber guru over at Feathertail Fiber Arts. And she is the one that, if you're in our Facebook group, if anybody has like weird like fiber questions or how to process a fleece questions or any questions like that on breeds, I just immediately tag Tori and I'm like, she knows, because that saves me the step of having to ask her and then get back to you because I admittedly do not know. So that's one thing I've really enjoyed, is getting to know so many different people in the fiber industry, that everybody kind of has their own little expertise. And so I definitely, by no means do I ever claim that I know everything. I definitely do not. I just happen to have friends who know things, so I know where to find the answers. So Tori is joining us today for gin and spin. Even though I do not have any gin, I'm about to go to a Fancy Nancy themed birthday party with the girls, so I'll probably want some gin afterwards. But I don't know. It's supposed to be like a tea party, so there better be crumpets involved or something. But that's what we're up to. But what are I just wanted to kind of interview you. How did you get started in the fiber industry?
Well, when I was pregnant with my first son, I actually started, my nesting was learning how to crochet. And that kind of started the whole like, oh, this is really fun, but what if I made my own yarn? And you know how that goes. So I kind of, I was raised on an alpaca farm for most of my teenage years, so that kind of like opened the door, I guess.
You did a lot of 4-H sort of stuff, didn't you?
I did, yep, and I did a lot of, I didn't do any kind of like fiber work when I was a teenager, but I did a lot of work with the alpacas as far as like breeding and genetics, and that kind of stuff was always really interesting to me, and trying to get certain types of fiber from different, you know, a dad and a mom alpaca and whatever.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I don't know anything about that. So as far as breeding and fiber, expound on that for a moment.
Well, it's kind of fun because we would have alpacas with different genetics, and we would try to breed them for different desirable traits in their fleece. So if we had a herd sire or a male that was had really good crimp, we would try to breed him to a female that was maybe really soft but didn't have as nice of a stylized crimp in her fleece, and just try to see if we could get a baby that had both traits. So that was always really fun. It was a very long wait because they're pregnant for 11 months, so it took forever to find out if we were right. But the baby alpacas was absolutely the best part of that job. That was so much fun.
Well, you have really, I've gotten, and I'm sitting here in my fiber room that is newly organized next to like a whole pile of alpaca from you. So you really do have, and I have a local farmer I get a lot of alpaca from, but the alpaca I've gotten from you really is, it seems to be different, and it's very exceptional as far as quality. And I know, like I said, you're the one I always tell people with your fiber stash sales, you know, they're always you can always count on the fiber being really good quality. And since I wasn't really into buying fleeces, like I just am like friends with local farmers, that was one thing I didn't know about. I guess I've been lucky, but people that would like order fleeces and you get it by the pound and then it comes in and it's really crappy.
Yes.
And so I didn't realize that was a thing. Like I said, I've always been kind of fortunate that I guess I was just kind of picking up fiber from friends here locally so I could see what I was getting. But after talking to people in other groups, I know that's really a problem. So how can you, for those of people who aren't in your group, you've got sort of a Facebook business page, but then your group is where the sales are, right?
Yep, so I have a group on Facebook called Feathertail Fibernatics, and the group actually started because of that exact reason. I was really tired of going online and buying fleece and kind of playing the guessing game where I was hoping that I would get something that was usable and good quality and not full of BM. So I wanted to create a kind of a wool sales group where people knew they were going to get super top quality, clean, easy to process fleece every single time and not have to worry about it. So it's kind of evolved from there, but I have a pretty high standard, especially when it comes to alpaca, because I'm definitely biased and having grown up on a farm, and that I'm very picky about my alpaca. So
well, no, I definitely am somebody. I don't mind I've definitely taken on a few challenge fleeces before. Yep. I don't mind putting in the work, but especially with me having like a business, I just don't have the time to be fighting with something. And I think I'd only ever had things that I was kind of like fighting with. And when I started getting, even though, because at first I was like, oh man, like most of her stuff isn't washed. Like, I was kind of like, oh, man, that's going to be work. And then when it would come in, like, it was basically clean. Like, Killian...
As is.
Yeah, no, Killian and I would just, like, my 5-year-old can, like, help me wash it. And it rinses out, like, one time and dries and is, like, perfect. So, that was definitely... You were the first person I'd kind of gotten stuff from that I guess was a higher quality or better... As far as getting things that weren't already cleaned. Sure. And so that was a big help for me, and so that's why I've encouraged so many people to, when people are looking for things, to head over that way. And like I said, Mom and I recently cleaned out the fiber room, which is where I'm at now, and it looks so much better. But we were like digging under this day bed you can kind of see over here with the crazy quilt on it, and I'm like, please ignore the 2 sheep fleeces that are in bags under there. Yep. Once the weather warms up, we have to get around to actually cleaning them, but it won't stop raining here.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be -50 wind chill here this week, so that'll be fun.
Remind everybody where you're from again, because I totally didn't say.
I'm in southeast Minnesota.
Ooh.
So getting potentially 8 to 12 inches of snow and 50-degree below zero wind chills this week.
And you are also a mom of young children, so like I said, we all have that in common of being the... I know Christina was our last one, being like moms of small children, so we're all kind of crazy.
Homeschooled too, which is really cool.
Homeschooled?
Yeah, her kids, she said, were, I think, right?
Yeah, no, well, I'm not sure with Christina's, maybe. I don't know, y'all are all cooler than me. Like, my kids and I would have, like, a straight-out rebellion. But, oh, man. But, yeah, so how old are your children? You've got 3 kids, right?
I do. I have a 6-year-old son, and then I have a 3-year-old daughter and an 18-month-old daughter. So it's a circus, for sure. Well, which is part of the reason why I'm a snob about my fleeces, because just like you, I don't have... First, I have the attention span of a gnat, which doesn't help. But, like, also with 3 kids and trying to keep my house in order, I do not have time to sit and nitpick through a fleece right now. Maybe someday I will, but right now I want my fleeces, like, really clean, nice, and easy to process, so I don't have to worry about it.
So you have just kind of like a good relationship with many different farmers. I mean, that's kind of how I am, where I have like, oh, this is my alpaca person, and this is my whatever. So you've got just kind of like good cultivated relationships you're sharing with the rest of us?
Yep, exactly. It has taken me... I've been doing the wool brokering side of this for about, almost 3 years now, and I will drive out to farms if they're local, and I'll spend a bunch of time with the shepherd because I want to see like their process and what they have to do to take care of the sheep and make sure that the wool is clean and usable. And I have small farms from all over the United States that I work with, that I've gotten to be really good friends with. I like to spend the time to actually build the relationship, so I know that I'm supporting the farmer, that they're, have ethical practices and they're doing a really good job with their farms, and then I'm bringing that same wool through to the hand spinners, and they don't have to worry about whether it's clean or not. So it's kind of a win for both sides.
Yeah, no, well, like I said, it's gotten embarrassing. I've gotten hooked on your Facebook group sales where Mom's like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't need it, but it's going to come home.
But I want it, yeah. Like, I brought on a couple of things.
Please show us. Like I said, I'm just sitting here spinning. This is some merino tinsel I'm spinning that has been just a dream here, and it's really pretty. So I'm just sitting here spinning and running my mouth. I would love to see what you've got.
Well, I'm going to take a break from spinning because I will admit I am spinning something that is so outside my norm, a yak silk blend. It's super slippery, and it is like, I tried it in a center pull ball, and I should have known better. It is a huge knot, so I'm going to have to work on that later.
Oh, I hate a center pull ball. I'm like old school Rapunzel style ball all the way.
Yes, so that'll be interesting. Hopefully it survives. But I was thinking about your foray into mohair as kind of a good example of, like, when people say, I hear this all the time. So as a wool broker, I get my hands on so many different types of fleeces, and even within the same breed. So that's kind of nice because I can see the good, bad, and the ugly, and kind of have a ratio of what's the really good stuff, what does the bad stuff look like.
Yeah, you definitely created a monster with the good mohair, because I talk all sorts of crap about mohair, and you won me over to the dark side, so now it's in everything.
Yeah, well, and that's the hard part, is with any breed of wool or fiber, if you have a bad experience with it, it's so easy to say, well, I don't like mohair, or like I had a really bad experience with Rambouillet at one point, so then it was like, well, I don't want anything to do with Rambouillet at all.
Well, my problem was the itchy mohair blends from Less Than Fabulous Yarns and yarn shops, and they would always say mohair, and I was like, this crap is horrible. It was itchy, and I couldn't stand it. Like what you sent me that was mohair, I never would have thought was mohair.
Yeah, well, and it depends on, too, like a lot of times in the commercial yarns, they'll say mohair, but it's, an adult grade mohair of a fleece that, wasn't probably bred for specific fineness, or it's been used, they get the big, huge bales of mohair as opposed to by fleece, so they don't really...
Well, isn't mohair you want the younger animal, right?
Typically, unless there are some breeders that do mohair that have gotten to a point where they're 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old goats still have that kid grade mohair, which is pretty impressive. And that's why I love working with the breeders and seeing them kind of try to improve their flock and make those fleeces last even longer. Because a lot of times, you get your lamb fleece and maybe your yearling fleece, and then the quality starts to drop off quite a bit. So when you find a breeder who's working on trying to preserve that as long as possible, I think that's really cool and very impressive when they can do it.
No, that's amazing. Well, what is your favorite fleece at the moment?
Well, I think right now I've been a big fan of Leicester Longwool for a couple of years now. One of my local farms breeds that, and the colors are amazing, and it takes dye like a champion. It's amazing. This is one of my
here's some I bought from you.
Yeah, there you go. You can see the staple length on these. This is a lamb fleece, and you can, for those watching, if you're doing some fleece shopping, an easy way to tell if the fleece on pretty much any breed, the fine wool is a little harder to tell sometimes, but if you see on the end, there's these little tiny curlicues almost. That gives it away that it's a lamb fleece. So you can kind of tell if they've got those little amniotic curls on the end from their baby fleece. That's a good way to tell from a picture, how old the fleece might be. If they have those curls, chances are it's a lamb fleece.
Do you have any other magical tips for us on fleece assessing?
Yes. So one of the things too, if you're in person, and I'm really excited, the big Minnesota festival, Shepherd's Harvest. So if you're in Minnesota, you'll see me there. Come say hi. If you're looking in person, a lot of people will go through the first layer of the bag to see if they like the fleece. Dig in that bag, like get all the way in the middle, get all the way to the bottom, because a lot of times people selling, not everybody does this, obviously they're not trying to be unethical or anything, but a lot of times they'll put the best of the fleece on the top, which makes sense because they want to sell it, right? So make sure that you like actually dig in the fleece and get in there and see if it looks that same way all the way down to the bottom, or if there's something hiding underneath there. Because, yeah, if I reach down in the middle of, I've got a big bag of this Leicester Longwool lamb here, and if I reach down in the bottom of the bag, I still have that same really pretty, clean locks all the way through. And then I brought some mohair on.
Of course.
In case. This is some kid mohair.
Oh, it's so nice.
Now, and this is actually kind of a fun, this is why I love getting to know the shepherds. So this one is from a little bottle-fed baby. And again, if you look at the tips, completely different breed of fiber animal. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can still see those tiny little curlicues at the end of the fleece.
No, we can see everything you're holding up really well. Your lighting and setup is awesome.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's your curlicue lamb, or in this case, kid tips. Tiny, tiny little curlicues. So that's a really easy way to tell how old your fleece is, if it's a young one or not. But he was a bottle-fed baby named Joey, and almost didn't survive. And you should see this fleece. It is insane. The shepherd didn't want to let it go, and I talked her into it.
And Joey's doing okay now, though, I hope?
Yes. Yep. Joey is okay now. He's happy and healthy and doing well.
Oh, good. I had to ask for my mom, because I know she's going to watch this, and then she's going to be like, well, you can't leave us on a cliffhanger.
Happy stories. Happy stories only. It is funny, though, that you bring that up, actually, because one of the things that I've really gotten to, I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but appreciate a lot about what the shepherds and the people that grow our fiber do is they go through a lot. I mean, you mentioned talking about happy stories. It's not always happy stories, and they have to deal with a lot of hard things with the animals and even trying to sell their fiber. I mean, they barely have time to trying to get their fiber out in front of people and stuff it's hard for them to manage all of that. So I'm really glad that I've been able to work with so many small farms, because I feel like it gives them a break, because they don't have to do all the legwork of promoting themselves. So that's been really fun.
No, I totally feel you, and that's been I think that was one thing that me and you kind of like met and bonded over, which actually I was thinking we met via FiberShare, which FiberShare is open right now, and that's I think you and I had been kind of dancing around each other in a few like small business and fiber groups, and then we got randomly matched as FiberShare partners, and we just, both of us were so into like the small farms and, American wool and all of that. And that was really kind of how we ended up being good friends. And like I said, your mission was so similar to what mine is. And which, I don't know if, I know with my business, there's definitely, I could use other things or other supplies, or I could go in other directions than I have. And I don't know if what I'm doing is necessarily the most popular or the smartest business-wise, but it's what like I wanted to do. And I felt like that's how yours was too. Have you heard of the, it's a new kind of website directory called My Local Wool?
Yes, with Ashley Martineau.
Yeah, no, she's a friend and business person. We work together through Spinolution, and so we've gotten lucky enough once again that she's a mom of little kids in the fiber industry that like everybody knows. And
she's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's her new initiative, and I'm hoping to get her on here for an interview on My Local Wool and what's going on with that. But you were one of the first people I thought of with that, because you can be on the map as like a educator and all sorts of things. So I hope you're on the map as an educator or whatever most suits you.
Not yet, but I need to be. I haven't looked at it yet. I have a shop update coming up in this next week, so I've been kind of...
Well, I think it's like a discount to get on the map now, so you should definitely... Okay. I think she's trying to kind of like beef it up since it's a fledgling startup or whatever. So yeah, you should definitely. And I've used it already so much. I'm trying to like get my calendar together. But as far as like local festivals and whatever, like it's awesome. You can just put it in and be like near me, and this map pops up with like all the stuff. So you need to be on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd really like to do like a 2-day fiber class retreat in the next year or two here. So that would be
like to teach one.
Do that.
Like to teach one, or you want to go to one?
Yeah, no, like to host and teach one. I might bring in, I'm not sure if I would do it by myself or bring in somebody else to do it with me or what, but
well, I want to go. Really that sounds magical. I don't know how I would get away and get up there, but that sounds really great.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. And I think there are a lot of people in this area, and there's some guilds around my area, but there's not really, that I have found, a really strong presence of like really get together and spin and do some big classes, retreats kind of stuff in my state. So I'm hoping to get some of that going.
Yeah, you really should. We're definitely lucky in Knoxville. The Spinners Guild that I'm in here is just an excellent Spinners Guild. And they get together once a month, and I've learned so much, and they have interesting speakers and things. So I wish that for everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I have selfish questioning now. You've been teasing us with pictures of some sort of magical Corridel fleece, and we all know I use a lot of dyed Corridel from a local farmer here who's also a dye artist, but you sent me a little sample because you are a horrible tease. Horrible tease, and I've already been lusting after it. So when does that...
No apologies whatsoever.
Yeah, when does that become available, and how do we get some, and why is it so cool? Because it's beautiful. And like I said, I use Corridel all the time, and I'm like not knocking it, but like what I'm using is it's dyed, so it's been through like the dyeing process, and then it's been milled and everything. So just getting this like greasy little fleece sample, and I was like, oh, it's wonderful. But
yeah. Well, the Corridel fleece, I got one early, and this is where you guys. So here's another tip, and this is terrible because I'm telling you all my secrets, but one of the things that you should definitely do is if you have a fiber artist or farm that you like, I can't tell you how many times I have gotten fleece before everybody else because I sent them a message ahead of time. So I know, like right now, we're not in shearing season yet, right? Everybody's kind of getting ready for the February, March, April crazy shearing time. So I had sent a message to my Corridel source and said, hey, I know you're not shearing yet, but please keep me in mind because I'm definitely interested in picking up some more fleeces this year, again, because my group just loved them last year. And she goes, well, actually, I just had a Corridel you sheared like a couple days ago, and I was going to list it on Monday. And I was like, don't bother, I'll buy it. I mean, like, literally. Send them a message if you never know if they have something left over or if they because it saved her the trouble of having to list it all over the place.
I literally just did this where I was messaging with somebody who is like a Spinolution and a fiber customer for me, and we were talking about something, and it was some braids I like hadn't even listed yet. And I was like, well, if you don't mind not having official pictures, like you can have them. So yeah, no, it's funny how that. So you've got one fleece. Are you selling it like by the ounce or like 4 ounces?
By the pound. There's 5 pounds. And it's going to be up in the shop update this coming Friday, February 1st. So if you're not in the group or on the email list.
So what's the most reliable thing to do for all the people who are now freaking out? Do they need to be on your email list, or do they need to be in your group? Where does it go up first?
The group gets it before the public, but the email list gets first crack at everything on the website. So if you want to get first dibs on anything, be on the email list.
Okay, and I will post a link when I get around to editing this to just your website. So all you people who are currently freaking out, you go to her website and sign up for her email list, which is the same idea as like with mine or anybody else's. If you get on people's email list, like we tend to spoil those people, more so than anybody else. And I know with all these small businesses, like I know I get sick to death of the like 100,000 emails I get, but like that was why I was a little bit late getting on here, is I am working on an email for my email list. And it's like literally me sitting on the sofa like with my husband while we're like rewatching Sopranos, like trying to like work this out. So trust me, if I'm sending you an email, it's not because I'm like sitting around being like,
No.
I got nothing better to do. Let me send you this email.
I want to scam my followers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely, and I feel like that's how all the small businesses are. So if you're getting an email from somebody like me or Tori, like it meant that we were sitting there with kids climbing on our heads, and we were so devoted to sending you that email and trying to make it look pretty. And I know mine are always like riddled with spelling mistakes and typos, and I don't even care. I really don't. Like, I really don't care. Like, that's how you know that it's like really me sending it to you.
Yeah, you're not using a robot.
Yeah, they're zero I wish I had a robot. If I had a robot who could like send out some like amazing content and I didn't have to do it and like everything was spelled right, that would be magical. But so go join your email list, and so it'll be next Friday when the magical Corridel becomes available.
Yes.
Do you happen to have any of it laying around where we can Google it?
Actually, let me go grab the bag quick.
Haha, y'all are lucky I'm talking her into this. This is my Spinolution King Bee, for those of you who are like, what kind of weird wheel is that? This weird-ass wheel is the Spinolution King Bee, and I love it. So let's see. All right.
On my wish list someday is a Spinolution wheel for my art yarn.
Oh, they're magical, let me tell you.
I wish I knew somebody who sold them.
I know this chick who makes lots of videos on YouTube with like I'll send you her email.
Sounds good. Yeah, put me on her email list.
My favorite part of her videos is when she forgets she's filming and then wanders around in front of the camera like bent over in awkward angles doing things. Yeah, it's always good.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to blow your mind a little bit of this because the actual fleece itself is already packaged and all down in my warehouse downstairs. But she sent along the bag, I kid you not, of the neck and skirtings.
Now, for those of us in the back, tell us what that means.
So when a sheep is sheared, the prime blanket or the best part of the wool comes from like right behind the shoulder to right at the front of the hip and across the back. So that kind of saddle area is where the best fleece comes from. Typically, they'll skirt out or take out bits that are along the front and back legs, like that's called like the breech area, and that's usually the less desirable fiber. However, so I kid you not, this is skirtings from the Corridel fleece.
So this should be the less good, but it's still amazing.
This is the less good bag. Yes.
What? I want the less good bag.
Yeah, right? I know. I kept it, and I'm just like, this is like, are you kidding me? And I think the reason is these are coated fleeces, and she'll tell me, this lady that I buy from, she'll tell me, well, this one's a little bit dirty, and this is what I get. There's some, like, tiny bits of dirt in the tips.
So
like,
when you say coated fleece, that means that the sheep is wearing a coat that keeps their wool clean, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep. And not everybody coats, and I buy uncoated and coated fleeces because honestly, I found that it's more to do with, a lot of times, depending on the breed, it has a lot to do with how they're fed too, like how they have access to their food. If they're pulling a bunch of hay down on themselves, obviously they're going to be a dirtier fleece. But these guys are coated, and yeah, this is the dirty, unwanted fiber. Apparently, I don't understand.
Yeah, sign me up for the dirty, unwanted fiber. That sounds like my speed.
Yeah, no kidding. Like this, just look at that crimp, you guys. Like if you don't know what crimp is, that's basically these little curlicues that go all the way up and down the lock. That is called the crimp. The finer the fleece, the more of those there will be.
See, I didn't know that. I always know I like the way it looks, but I didn't know that. So the finer the fleece, the more crimp. My question for you with crimp is, so like I buy this stuff and it's beautiful and I love it like it is, but then in the process of, if you were spinning that for yourself, would you wash it, obviously, and then like run it through a drum carder? Like, how would you process it? Because I almost feel bad overly processing it because like it's so pretty, but then I'm like, well, I have to make the yarn out of it. So like, what would you do if you were keeping that? How would you process and spin it?
This I would comb probably on my wool combs, which look like, for those of you that don't know, those look like giant Wolverine claws.
I have some.
Yeah, they're awesome. If you don't have So if you're just getting into fiber arts and you're like, what should I start with for equipment?
Why would you use wool combs? Because I have these, obviously, and like I looked up how to do them in my spinning course. I have like a demo on them, but I honestly don't use them as much as some of the other ones. Why is it that you would prefer in that situation to use these instead of like the hand cards or drum carder?
Sure. So when you're processing a fleece, it kind of depends on what you want to do with it. Like, what do you want your end result to be? And for carders and drum carders, like the hand cards or the drum carders, what that does is when it processes the fiber, all of the fibers, if you can imagine, are kind of all like interlaced like this, but they're all going different directions. So you're going to have a lot more air in your yarn. It's going to be a lot poofier, and that's when what they call a woolen style yarn. With the combs, all of the fibers are laying flat against each other and going the same way. So you're going to get a much smoother yarn without, there's going to be like really no room for air in it. So it's a lot smoother. And in my opinion, it is definitely a smoother spin too. Like you can tell when you're setting at your spinning wheel with comb top. My favorite thing on the planet to spin is hand comb top. It is a wonderful experience.
So when you, and this is, like I said, just showing my ignorance here, so you use, like I said, I know how to use them, so you use them, and then you, like, kind of pull the fiber off of them. Do you just kind of, I place mine just kind of in nice stacks in a bag, and then, so when you're picking, I just wanted to make sure, I'm self-taught, so I'm always like, am I doing this weird?
Me too.
So you would just place the comb top, like, as you pulled it off the combs in a pile, and then when you're spinning, you just pick up from the pile and spin that way? Okay. Exactly. Good, I'm doing it right. I just wanted to make sure.
Brand, essentially. And actually, for anybody that's interested in watching how that kind of a process would work, you need to go to Instagram, if you have one, and look up @Snerb Yarn, SNERB Yarn.
Spell that again?
SNERB Yarn, all one word.
Okay.
Bren Boone is an incredibly gifted...
Oh, I'm already following her.
Yes. She just did, I kid you not, like a full-on, in-depth video tutorial on her Instagram of start to finish with a merino fleece.
Gotcha.
And if you want to watch combing from somebody who really knows what they're doing, I'm still kind of a novice at it. She's incredible. So go watch that because it's amazing. She shows you how to wash it and everything. So... that's very helpful. But
cool.
Yes, that's...
I follow her, and I'd missed that, because I'm real bad about getting on social media and, like, just doing what I gotta do and, like, checking in with folks and then getting off. But so I don't browse it as much as I would like. So I will go look. Because, like I said, it's something that, like, I know, you know, and with our Spinners Guild, we've studied it. It's like, I know I'm doing it right, but I don't really do it. I tend to just default to my drum carder because I'm just trying to get it, like, processed. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely takes more time, but it's definitely, you know, and especially as a business, hand comb top is definitely not time productive for
we're usually dying so much of ours that being able to have it in more of a bat where I'm blending the colors in, or as like a roving that I purchased from somebody, because then we can dye the braids. So I think that's the main reason I'm probably doing that. And I know we're keeping you here. So this has been such
you're fine. My daughter, my 18-month-old can open doors now, so she just, you know, she goes where she wants.
Yeah, I know how that goes. And like I said, well, this has been, and I'm not trying to kick you off or kick me off, but I don't want to take up all your time. We definitely need to do this again, because I feel like we could almost do this, like, monthly, like, fiber lessons from Tori, because I feel like I could sit here and ask you questions for, like, 3 more hours.
It is funny, though, because I'm completely self-taught, too. I've taken a couple of workshops, but that's literally it. There's so many amazing spinners and artists on, you know, all the different social media platforms. So it's really just sitting down and learning, and honestly getting your hands in as many different types of fleeces as you can. I think that's really where I've picked up a lot of my knowledge, is just doing it and just getting my hands in those fleeces and seeing the differences between, okay, here's an adult fleece versus a lamb fleece. Which one do I like better? You know, and not expecting, what I always tell people is don't expect a fiber to be something it's not. I hear a lot of times, well, like, this isn't Cormo. Like, it's not soft like Cormo. And it's like, well, no, it's because it's not Cormo. You know, so like...
You sound like my friend Barb, who's always like, everything doesn't have to be merino.
Yeah, right.
Well, here's a selfish question for you. This is some of the what I and look at this is dirty, guys. Like this is if you buy stuff from Tori, this is dirty. Yes. This is the Leicester long wool, and I have some natural indigo dye that I'm pretty excited about, and so I want to do something where it's like white and then some of the indigo, and as you see the crimp, like I was talking about. So should I dye this way and then like after it's clean, then like blend and process it, and it's will some of this like pretty shape still stay in there, or I wanted to.
Yeah, if you honestly. What I typically do with especially long wools is I don't actually wash them before I dye them. I put them in the pot with the wool scour and the dye and dye them immediately like that, which is really nice because it cuts out a step. And yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can absolutely do that. And then once they're dyed, they should still be very similar lock structure. And then obviously if you card or comb them, then they're going to get pulled out and stretched a little bit and not have as much of that. But I don't know how you do it with your drum carder, but a lot of times with these, you can actually just paint them right onto the bigger drum, and that way the liquor in the smaller drum isn't shredding them all up as much before they go on.
I do go back and forth with that. Like I add, when I'm adding the locks, which Tori's my dyed lock supplier, if y'all want some dyed locks. I know you've added some to group sales and stuff in the past, so I don't think that's a secret at this point in time. But
no.
Not a secret. But like I said, I'm not very good at keeping secrets anyhow. But okay, well then I'll probably do half dye, and I want to keep the other half. I'll just wash and make white, and then like you said, okay, a game plan now. So y'all like how I'm totally using this as a chance to plot out my my next yarn here.
Well, and please tag me in the photos so I can see.
Oh, well, I will. Like I said, well, Fiber Share, as you know, is coming up, and Crafty Housewife Yarns was approved for one of the, because you have to, like, get approved now, so I feel like extra special.
Feathertail. Woohoo! That's awesome. So we're both in. That's cool.
Yeah, so we're going to be one of the, like, featured businesses or whatever, so I definitely... I'm going to be adding, I just put up our new stuff. That's what I'm supposed to be sending that email about. I guess after the Fancy Nancy birthday party, I'll be coming home and making a gin and tonic and finishing that email blast and and getting that out. So I'm going to have like the new stuff, which some things did sell out yesterday in our pre-shopping group. So, you know, if you're interested, go look. And we're going to have that up, and then I am going to try to get some new things. I was going to do kind of textured. It's a lot of stuff I'd gotten from you, so I think that's why you were on my mind. I just added to our, and I'm like looking at the time here. I added a like art yarn section to my my spinning course. So it's the Create Your Own Dream Yarn course, and it's still like all the old stuff's still there. I just added like a new page that I was hoping to get it up this weekend, and I just didn't. So I'm sorry, I couldn't do a product launch and that. But I'm in the final, like, basically I'm just making it look pretty at this point in time and checking some of my spelling typos. So I figure people are paying, they don't want to get on there and be like, man, this chick can't even spell anything. So I'm just kind of like proofreading myself, and then that'll be up. But it's an art yarn bonus section. I promise there's a point. I did the lock spinning and the tail spinning, which was all stuff that I'd gotten from you, I think from some of your last grab bag. So, you know, that's why, like I said, I think you were kind of on my mind, because I'd been using a lot of the stuff I'd gotten from you that was kind of a departure from me and what I'd normally done, but that's what people were wanting to learn. So the people that are already in that course, if you're seeing this, and I will send out an email, you're getting a whole new section of it for free, so yay you. And if you are on the fence about it and you've been wanting, like I said, lock spinning, I'm too lazy to do like multiple courses, so I was like, I'm just making one, and I'm just going to keep sticking stuff in it. So that's how that's going to go.
Awesome, though.
Cool. Well, let me, I do have to go get the girls and cram them in Fancy Nancy attire, and we have to go have a tea party now. So, but yeah, this was, thank you so much. And like I said, I feel like I didn't get nearly as much into, I know you were also a writer, like, so we have so many other things. So obviously we just need to do this at another time. And I think we all just kind of, anytime you have like a sale coming up, I think we all just kind of want what you're having in your sale. Because I mean, if there's only 4 or 5 pounds of it, you know, obviously, you know, I know from personal experience, I'll get on there, and it always seems to happen when I'm, like, traveling or something, which is, like, hardly ever, and then I get on there, and it's like, sold, I'll take 2 pounds. I'm like, damn it, I missed them. They're gone.
It goes really fast, especially the popular breeds like the Corriedale and the Polworth and the Leicester Longwool, they fly out.
Cool.
So.
Well, I'm going to do my best to get, when I get home, after the email, I'm going to do my best to get this edited and put up so then everybody will have like today is Sunday, almost a week head start on signing up for your email list so that they can, and get in the Facebook group. So I probably shouldn't be doing this. I'm giving myself more competition because I don't, I'm going to have like more people against me now. So maybe I won't publish this.
Because I feel like everybody, even if we do have similar products, and I feel like you and I actually have kind of the whole spectrum.
We do. Between me and you, we got it all.
Because it's, and I'm sure you believe in this too, but I'm a firm believer in you sell yourself first, product second, and people love your individuality, and that's what they come here for. So that's really cool.
Well, good. Yeah, no, I definitely... if you're looking for super serious, polished something, it's probably not me. But, well, no, it is fun. Like I said, it's been fun I feel like we've got so many friends. We're all similar. And we always joke that Christina, Heidi, and I are like a vicious cycle of like self-perpetuating, like getting in trouble. Because like... Christina does a lot of dyeing for me, and then we do spinning, and then Heidi then like crochet. Christina sent Heidi some yarn that Heidi crocheted into something. So it's like it's just become like a vicious cycle of, and now we've thrown you in there now too. So welcome to the vicious cycle of like fiber sisterhood there, where we
Thanks.
like.
I'm kind of the official. When people ask me what I do, I don't really know how to describe it other than I'm a professional fiber enabler. That's kind of what
That's perfect. I never know what to say either. Somebody asked me that like not too long ago, and like I was really bad forever about just being like, I'm a stay-at-home mom, because that was like easier. And then my husband was like, you do like a whole lot of stuff and make money. Like, maybe you should stop saying that. And so now I'm just like, I own a fiber arts business, which then nobody knows what that is. And I'm like, with yarn and spinning wheels and education. That's what I do. But, well, like I said, we have more of the processed, you think like rainbow yarn sort of stuff. And then, like I said, you're my person I get my more raw stuff from. Yep. And so, we've got, between your business and my business, we've got like the full spectrum of fiber stuff.
Raw fleece is always that's my favorite. Like, honestly, I've bought a couple fleeces that I don't know I'll ever do anything with just because they are perfect just as they are. Like, I would never want to touch them.
Well, my favorite is how if you order things from you, you send me these things that look like little drug bags. And they are like little drug bags, but like that's what they are. They're these like this one literally just fell out of, I don't even know where this thing came from. It just like heard your voice and jumped off a shelf. I don't even know what this is. But it's really pretty. But I get all these like little...
You know what that is? That's actually from this very same bag.
Oh, is this the little sample? Okay, then that's where this came from. Yeah, then this is the little sample. I took a picture. It's on Instagram not too long ago. But yeah. But no, it always does make me laugh because they come in like these little like gram tags. And like Philip already picks on me. Like I meet farmers in parking lots and we'd like do deals. Like it totally looks like a drug deal where like
big bag going into your car.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then I'm like, I'll send you the money. Like, don't worry. But anyhow, let me let you go. I gotta go get fancied up. So
sounds good. We'll have fun at your tea party.
I know. Yay! Thank you so much. And we definitely need to do this again. Like I said, we just we need like I think because I really like learning things, so we need to have just like a tell me about alpaca. Ooh, we could do breed. Yeah, just like tell me about alpaca. Tell me about long wool. Because
let's do it.
And anyhow, so this is Tori. So if you're in our Facebook group, you should be in hers. But if you're in mine and you have questions on anything, this is Tori. She's the one that you usually see me tagging. So thank you, Tori.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Cool. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.